The Tunisian customs were uneventful. I changed a little of my Tunisian currency into lira on the way through. "You'll have to change the rest at a bank in Italy," said the official, though he must have known that Tunisian currency is not accepted in Italian banks. I didn't. Once on the boat, I and a small party of Americans found the TV lounge and settled down to watch a rather good modern jazz concert. A large group of Arabs sat down in front of us and drowned the music with conversation. After maybe 5 minutes, they changed channels and carried on ignoring it. I went to sleep in my reclining seat, and when I awoke, there was Sicily. 5 days left, and still a long way to go. The Italian customs men came on board and examined our passports, which had been taken from us when we embarked. One of the Americans has a British passport. He looked sound and behaved American, but he was born in Huddersfield. I had enough lira for the train fare to Palermo, and while I was waiting I photographed a small boatyard and an old gent with a chisel in his hand. I returned to the station and wandered across the tracks to the engine shed, where I photographed an old steam loco, now only used for shunting duties round the station. The engine crew looked rather pleased and proud. My train arrived just outside Palermo station, on time, but stopped there for 40 minutes. Everyone leaned out of the window to see what was up, including me. And there's a rather large hole in the seat of my jeans, which becomes quite conspicuous when I lean out of windows. And there's a lady behind me saying, "Excuse me, sir," in embarrassed Italian. And after a moment I realise she's talking to me, and about what? "Inglesi," I said, though it didn't explain the hole in my jeans. Bad German became our common language. She'd been a Gastarbeiter in Germany, an immigrant worker. They had a lot of them for varying periods of time. Her name was Adriana, and her boss in Germany had said she spoke German well, though we both knew she didn't, and neither did I. She kept pointing at my jeans and saying, "What will your mama say?" Like many Italians on train journeys, she carried a picnic in a plastic bag, and she handed me a loaf. At length the signal changed from red to green, and we could have gone if only we hadn't lost the guard. He eventually returned, and we arrived in Palermo just in time to miss the train to Messina. The next wasn't for 4 hours. May as well hitch it. It's all autostrada, and everyone there's Italian. Not a problem. And it wasn't. By midnight I was in Messina, in the rain, under the little cloud that had followed me from Morocco. The boats to Villa San Giovanni on the mainland ran at about 15-minute intervals between the two highly mechanised ferry terminals. The fare's 100 lira or so. On arriving, I examined the rail timetable. There were direttissima at about 1 a.m, 2:30 and 3 a.m. to get me in Naples by morning. The trains advertised to stop on platform 1 came to platform 4, and vice versa. And they appeared to follow no timetable. They arrived and departed at random, and I had to guess which was my train. I spotted one going to Naples, but it was all first class and they wouldn't let me on. At 2:40, I spotted the 2:30 and got on. At 3:10 it was still there. Bugger, this must be the 3 o'clock. But it wasn't. It was the 2:30, and it arrived late in Naples as well. Mussolini must have been spinning in his grave. Morning arrived on time. The railways didn't own the sun. After the sunrise came Salerno, and the strange black beaches of the Vesuvian coast. Sorrento and Capri are dark against the silver sea. I'm in a packed and talkative compartment. Opposite me, a pleasant middle-aged couple. In the opposite corner, a happy old man who wanted to get some sleep, but found his services as a children's entertainer in demand. In the remaining seats, a husband, wife, and young daughters. The husband's the only one who can communicate with me in bad German, another former Gastarbeiter. Later we lose the middle-aged couple and gain two middle-aged men. Talk turns to Italian political life, and whether Rome or Milan is what makes Italy tick, administration or industry. We reach Naples, the 8:40 from Reggio, arriving at 9:20. The station's very impressive, new and full of great triangles. Definitely more than just a concrete structure, a concept. And under the new station concourse, the metro and the Circumvesuviana, a rapid transit railway around Vesuvius, also running out to Sorrento. The station's connected to the bus station on the forecourt, and on the far side of the square, a tram route. I left the station and went to a bank. No, we don't accept Tunisian thingies here. Try round the corner. Round the corner. No, try across the road. Across the road. No, try across the road. No, I've just been there. Oh, and finally someone told me that banks don't take Tunisian thingies, but there's a shop down the road where they change money. So down the road I went and changed my various dirhams and dinars, though I lost £1 or so in the exchange. I visited the seafront and found it uninspiring. Vesuvius was shrouded in the morning cloud. There were some impressive buildings in the centre, and after a long search I found a long market street, and running off it, narrow alleys with washing strung across them. The Naples everyone thinks of, not really typical of the place. Then back to the station to take a train to Pompeii. I want to see people encrusted in lava. And when I got home, that was what everyone asked about. There are people encrusted in lava in the museum you walk through on the way to the ruins, which aren't bad as ruins go, but I've no time to hang about. If I get the next train, I can just get a train to Rome. I'll be there by 4:30, and I can take a few photos before dark. But the Circumvesuviana train was late, and while I'm still a few kilometres from Naples, talking to a bloke from Istanbul who'd walked up Vesuvius, the rapido to Roma is leaving on time. So I have another 4 hours to wait. I'll photograph some trains and have some soup. I get all my soup implements laid out, then discover I've no water, but a railwayman fetches me some. What's left of Adriana's bread, lightly bedecked with feathers, completes a large and tolerable repast. I visit the inquiry office with a list of journeys and ask the fares to see what I can afford. I can get out of Italy quickly anyway, though I wish I didn't have to. And a small girl says, "You're English. When I grow up, I'm going to marry an American. But Englishmen are all right." 6:30. The 5:30 to Rome hasn't departed, because it's not arrived from Reggio yet. The station announcer says it'll be 40 minutes late, which means it went at 6:10, but it didn't. It hadn't arrived. 7 p.m. It's still not arrived. So they fetch a few empty coaches and say, "Look, here's the 5:30 to Rome." Didn't fool me. Still, we all got on, but it didn't leave. Perhaps it was waiting for 5:30 to come round again. But no, it left at 8 p.m. and the train from Reggio still hadn't arrived. Perhaps it still hasn't. Somewhere around Salerno there'll be a trainload of people with long beards. We arrived in Rome Termini around midnight. There's a convenient train out of Italy at 1:40 a.m. and I buy a ticket to Monte Carlo. I wander out of the station to look at the window ledge I slept on last time I was at Termini, and to buy some pasta. Instead, I buy a pizza and find a 1,000 lira note. Every little helps. I get on the train at 1 o'clock, but every seat's already taken. There's a little wooden seat that folds down from the wall at the end of the coach for the use of the guard. I sit there and read the signs saying passengers shouldn't remain in the corridor. The guard arrives and says, "Don't lean on the door, you might fall out." No problem there, I'm experienced in not falling out of doors. Morning arrives on time again around Savona. Alassio and San Remo go by, and we're quickly at Ventimiglia, where the customs men get on. I have nothing to declare but my soup. Oscar Wilde said that.